Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Over coming to you with another Company of Heroes 2 game, but this is something special. This is the Winter Balance Preview 1.3 version. I can't tell you how excited I am to actually be able to cast this. I don't know what happened, but one day I went from replays being out of sync to being able to play them again. So here we go, guys. This is the first one of those. Down here in the south, our good old friend Kpen97, competent player. He's playing the Soviets and he's bringing along advanced warfare tactics, Lend-Lease, and shock rifle frontline tactics. Up in the north, we'll see Orange Pest is playing the OKW. He's got along, of course, Scavenge Doctrine, Breakthrough, and Luftwaffe ground forces. It seems very early on there's not going to be a lot of changes from these guys. Building very, very standard openings here. The map itself, of course, is Arnhem Checkpoint. The combat engineers will find themselves under fire very early on. And where is a couple things to note in the meantime. I'm not so sure we'll see them in this particular game, but it is possible we might see some of the changes wrought by the intended patches. Now, a lot of these changes I may have touched on before ever so slightly, but if you guys have not been keeping up on it, I will do my best to kind of summarize a couple of them for you. A large number of them depend very much on the penal troops for the Soviets. There's been a lot of changes for them. As of right now, it doesn't look like Kpen's really too enthusiastic about building them, and I kind of understand why. Kind of all over the place to be considered. But maybe what we'll do is just kind of allow the game to develop and see what we can kind of talk you guys through from there. As we're going into the second minute of this game, is going to be a triple conscript opening, as well as looks like two Volksgrens and a Kubelwagen for the OKW. And very much early on we see a kind of standard garrison dueling back and forth. These guys sitting on one end and the other trying to take out some Sturmpyos, while the Sturmpyos just spray the windows kind of haphazardly. Combat engineers will be able to pick up this VP to the east, as will their brethren in the center part of the map, but the Germans will definitely get their fuel in supply first, and Kpen is actually just going to go and start spamming out conscripts like crazy. Understandable, all things considered. I mean, those guys are going to be pretty solid moving forward here. Oh my gosh. But when you get caught out by that Kubelwagen, we do see a couple of models already dropping here. I have to say, I am... Ooh, look, it's going to be a Lend-Lease tactics, so we might see something like that half-track assault group. Uncommon, perhaps, but maybe even more common than that with the Dushka 38. Those things are pretty darn powerful. What I was going to say is I hope we're going to see something like a T-70 coming out. The T-70's been getting a little bit more buffed as of late, but so has its OKW counterpart. The Panzer II has been doing decently well. But all the same, developers were feeling that the unit itself was not performing in line to its expectations, so they're building up another, rather reducing the cost for it, and I think was it increasing maybe the AoE from these shots. Please forgive me if I have that a little backwards. Over here in the east, though, looks like it's going to be Volksgrens getting hammered by a couple squads of Volksgrens and combat engineers, and it looks like their support is just a little bit out of range. Even more so now, too, we're going to see that Kpen's going to run up with a very, very quick AT grenade and take out that Kubelwagen. So first blood to the Soviets. They're just doing really, really well, actually. His troops are fighting rather effectively. They are losing territory across the map, but they've been able to get their fuel back into supply, and that's a very, very important thing right there. And I'm wondering if literally, yeah, he might as well just be waiting for these commander points to be building up, and once he does so, we could be seeing a Dushka 38. Now on this map, frankly, the Dushka is a good idea. Sticking in the garrison does very, very well against light vehicles, as well as infantry. Couldn't tell you a whole lot about the thing, historically speaking, but it is very, very solid as machine guns go here. Just doesn't always get a lot of representation. Orange Pest, in the meantime, being a pest, jumping in and out of garrisons, taking territory left and right, decapping, recapping, doing all this kind of fun stuff for himself. And Kpen seems a little bit flummoxed at the moment. Has allowed Orange Pest to bring in his first SWS. And the question really is, will we see a battle group headquarters coming out of that? I imagine... It's actually kind of a tough call. If I were him, maybe I'd be doing that. I might instead be going with that mechanized regiment. Not the least because Strampyos, while they have medical supplies, and although those medical supplies have taken a slight cost increase, for the time being, it might be better to bring in an attempted P2. And yep, it is Mech Regiment coming in for Orange Pest. See what Kpen does to kind of move against it. He does have the first manpower, and yep, there's the first Dushka onto the field. And with that, any kind of P2 will be good, mind you, but just not as effective as it could have been with the absence of that weapons platform. Things you can see is rather hulking and bulking, but behind all that size, there's a ton of muscles. There's definitely reasoning for it. But 6 minutes in, 484 to 486, Kpen is down at 2-0 in cap. He's going to go down to a trip cap against, as Orange Pest just continues to kind of hit him from every single direction. Now though, Dushka finds its range, opens up onto these Volkskrans, does force one of them back away. Rather beaten up. But the Soviets will pay by losing out on their fuel here. I don't think these conscripts are going to get over here in time. I'm not sure that Kpen should really use Uvra to get in there either. Be awfully close. Will he make it? Yep, never mind. He's got that. Oh my gosh, he wasn't quite in it. Never mind, folks. I thought he had it, but no, he does not. And there is a slightly cheaper P2 coming out. Orange Pest taking advantage of the fact that the P2 only costs 60 fuel at this point. And although the Dushka is on the map, it will require him to be in a good position, and he's not quite there just yet. I will say, though, at least, that the combat engineers are snooping around, taking points back, taking back territory, and maybe dropping down a mine or two. Whatever he's going to do, though, he's got to do it soon, because Orange Pest is also throwing down STGs on just about all of his infantry. Another Dushka comes out, so Kpen's going for a total, like, machine gun spam, it seems, and really, transitioning from conscripts into that might be a good idea, after all. Couldn't say that for sure, because that P2 might change how I view this entire engagement. But the P2 knows that machine guns are out in the field, which means that he is going to do his best to just be avoiding that like crazy. And for some reason, Kpen has not yet decided to tech up at all. That's a little bit unfortunate right there. And we're going to see an AT grenade coming out of these conscripts back onto this P2. At least damage the engine a little bit. Dushka 38 turns around, at least to the eastern side of this town. And we'll lock down a huge, huge approach. Question is, will the P2 come close enough to actually make that worthwhile? Is Kpen not seeing this right now? Kpen's losing his combat engineers one by one by one by one. And I'm kind of concerned for him, because if he loses that, there goes a fair investment of munitions. Nope, he gets away in time. That guy just running back with that bulky mine-detecting equipment. Wouldn't it be better maybe to have the Dushka puzzle up into this house right here? Might be able to do so if he's lucky. Where is that second one? Second one's to the western part of the town, looking on that western approach. All things considered, it's kind of, it's tickets are definitely in the favor, obviously, of Orange Pest, but Kpen's not doing too badly at this point, I guess. Dushka turns around, starts throwing lead into the P2, and will his ally be able to help him out? No, it doesn't look like it, and indeed, this machine gun crew is getting hammered, like hardcore. The P2 knows that his ally is there. He's staying very, very far away from that firing arc, doing a pretty good job of it. Conscripts to the west do get forced back by SDGs again, and Kpen is not doing as well as he usually does in this early part of the game. We are eventually going to see a support weapon Compania, which means we might finally see a Zis gun as well. And that would be a good idea, all things considered. P2's going to throw lead into this barbed wire in the front of this church. And we'll take it out, make it a little easier for the STG-armed Volkskrans to get inside that house. But no, they're going to get cut off instead by machine gun, forced into suppression, and get backed off. In the east, for half a second, I thought that perhaps the Soviets were going to seize their fuel back, but no, it is still going to be German, and he's bringing a Stukas of Fuss. That's another one that's been getting a little bit of a change here. The accuracy, if I remember correctly, is getting modified a little bit because they're worried about something. What was the wording in the patch notes? Stealth capabilities of the decisive. Can't say I necessarily agree 100%, but alright. Orange Pest, in the meantime, decides to go for that breakthrough doctrine, calling the Panzer Fusiliers, believing that his long-range combat is a little bit underwhelming. I'm not sure I necessarily agree, but hey, if that's what he thinks, that's what he thinks. Soviets will manage to decap the German control away and are going to take back their own fuel yet again. That's probably a lucky thing right there for them. Because right now they are quite far behind in the overall fuel game. Meantime, though, these Dushkas are just kind of hanging out, not doing exactly what they need to be doing. One to the eastern part again, no one in this house. This guy in the house is not really accomplishing a whole lot. And a third Dushka's coming out here. Jeez, combat engineers in the meantime getting thrown back in bloody messes. In the east, these conscripts are attempting to push back the Germans, but it's going to be very, very difficult to do so. These Panzer Fusiliers were on top of them. It's going to take a concerted push by the Soviet infantry to send them packing. But it seems as another squad comes onto the fray, we might actually see that after all. And nope, here comes Stuka-rounds on top of this garrison, and luckily enough, doesn't actually even... Oh no, never mind. He does decrew that Dushka right there. So the second Dushka is gone, but the first one makes it out alive. That's an extremely well placed barrage, I may say so. Honestly, very, very well done. Support weapon company now just kind of chilling, hanging, taking its time. And the conscripts are not doing quite as well as I hope they might have. They seem underwhelming to a certain extent. But maybe Kpen is just looking to stall out until he can get over to this M4 Sherman. Would be a very, very good weapons platform for him to be using. Question really is if you can hold out long enough to get there. Orange Pest in the meantime decides he needs to have a light AT presence on the field just in case the Soviets are going for a late T-70. This Rakettenwerfer has seen some changes by itself as well. There have been changes to stealth overall, but I think also we're going to see the Rakettenwerfer be able to set up and fire a tiny bit quicker. This is to offset the current inability, let's say, for the AT weapon to sufficiently cloak and recloak while under fire. All in all, I think it's probably a change that's probably for the best on this one, considering that right now it seems always very frustrating to have an anti-tank gun that kind of just pops into stealth almost like that, and then pops right back out of stealth, and it's a super, super versatile AT platform, especially for the OKW. Now, given, of course, if the Allies can capture it, that's a very, very good opportunity for them as well. Unfortunately, that's sometimes very much a difficult prospect. I'm surprised I'm not seeing another barrage coming out of the Stuka-Safus, and we are going to see that soon enough. Question is where? We're going to see it? Yep, it's coming out. He's going for garrisons, men. Coming right out. Or is it on the middle part of the field here? Either way, nope, he's going to go for that garrison again. Doesn't quite hit it. Does pretty good damage to this garrison, and surprisingly enough, it doesn't quite go down, though. Dushka, in the meantime, does have a tank impaling itself very, very agreeably across its sights, but will not be able to capitalize, getting shredded in that negative cover there. So yeah, it looks like Kpen is just looking just to stall out. And where is that Zis gun? Still moving up to the front, I see. Yep, there he is. He's plodding his way forwards, not quite able to get there in time to really force back that P2. Conscript shifting up in the meantime as well, though, looking to put fire onto this German garrison. And will we see perhaps an artillery barrage coming out from the Zis gun? I would say it's a good idea. I'm not sure if it is or not. But yeah, maybe waiting for this P2 to come up here is probably a better idea instead. So, P2 will creep forwards, but the Zis gun is not even in position to fire. Never mind. Looks instead, in the meantime, that Orange Pest is also looking to bring on a Schwer Panzer headquarters, and that's a good idea, I think, as well. 15 minutes in, it's a little bit late, mostly because that Stukas and Moose purchase. But all things considered, very, very... competent's the wrong word, but a very, very dynamic build order. Dynamic's not even fair either. It's surprisingly simple. This build order is really just kind of spamming out a bunch of infantry until you can get in an early-ish tank. And then from there, I mean, it's just really been a combination of very, very good pressuring play coming out from the Germans. Dushka's going to get any rounds off. Yep, there goes the Strempayos. They are pinned. They're going to get forced back. And these SDGs are going to be following them a couple seconds later, I imagine. No, it's going to be reset. Those guys are going to be just out of that firing arc. And more rounds go off to the east. The question is, will these conscripts run into it or not? Doesn't look like it's going to be. Instead, on top of Dushka, and does shockingly little damage. Does tons of HP damage, but only 2 models drop. And this P2 just continues to reign supreme. 14 kills in that bad boy already. And Kpen just continues to limp towards that 10 CPs that he needs. Conscripts in the meantime throwing out another AT grenade. Nope, never mind. Animation cancel coming out, and Kpen is forced back. His troops not so much shattered, but just taking a lot of damage. Orange Pest is playing this rather well. Looks like it might be a Soviet point. No. No, it will not. Panzer Fusiliers instead right back up over here. Going to be causing quite an issue for the Soviets if they don't move back soon. But another squad comes in to replace them, and that might be something that can push back those Panzer Fusiliers in turn. Now, Ziska will find the P2. P2, obligingly enough, puts itself onto this crosshairs. 2 more rounds might be able to do it. That's 1. 1 more will do it. If he gets 1 more round off, it's going to be super close. No, never mind. He barely makes it out of the line of fire. The other Dushka, though, can he turn around in time, put some fire on top of it? No, it doesn't look like it. And the P2 is going to limp away just barely. And the Schwer Panzer headquarters is now being set up over here to the west to block this western approach by quite a bit. Won't quite lock down that fuel point for the Germans, but he will at least guarantee a good fallback position. Not that he's needed to use it. I will say it's always interesting for Arnhem Checkpoint to see that a lot of action takes place on the eastern side of the field. The western side doesn't always seem to get the same sort of attention, especially the far west over here. Might be a function of all these garrisons requiring a lot more static play. I don't know. That's just my thought, though. In the meantime, it does seem like these Volksgrens are going to come on top of this munitions point and might be evaporating. Yes, there they go. So Orange Pest losing a squad. And that is, yeah, that is worth. I would totally agree that's worth. Dushka, in the meantime, is going to have to turn around suddenly. Oh, no, he's sprinting away. Never mind, guys. There he goes. Sprinting is maybe just kind of a very surprising term. I don't think he's going really that fast. And over here in the east, these Strempayos might want to get out of here soon. M4C Sherman is now on the field, though, so those Lend-Lease tanks are coming out, and that might be enough to switch things over into the favor of Kpen. He's been so patiently suffering. And forgive me, guys, for missing the last barrage. It seems like he's come down over here, taking a couple models, but that house is still standing. And, yep, that Sherman should know that right now he's got nothing to worry about. Score, though, is, of course, 198 to 486. 19 minutes in, now that Sherman announces itself, and if he wants to, he can go and start taking out that territory, capturing it for the good of the motherland. If the Germans are unlucky, that is exactly what's going to happen. But instead, it seems that they're far more concerned, the Sherman, that is, in just shelling down all of these garrisons. Now, he's going to have to wait for another bit of manpower to bring in another one, but if Kpen just starts spamming out Shermans, that would be more than enough. There's only 1 Raketten on the field, and that is not going to be able to deflect this puppy. His name is Spot. So for the first time in a long time, I do see that Kpen is actually draining tickets away from his opponent, and as veterancy goes, both guys are pretty much flush against each other. Soviets have a slight edge by a star or two, but that's barely anything. Sherman, in the meantime, should be noticing that there's more German infantry coming over here to the west. Indeed, I imagine it's going to swing around behind this particular squad. Shockingly, there's not another machine gun in depth to back them up. There's conscripts coming in, but that's not really the same thing. But a second Sherman will be, I would say, rather terrifying for the German war machine right now. Luckily for that P2, he doesn't take a round. Unfortunately, though, the Panzer Fusiliers do find themselves get crushed under the weight of living. And yeah, they're getting sent packing quite definitively. Meantime, though, probably a barrage right in this area, heading south, and again, doing surprisingly little model damage. Yes, there's a ton of health damage being done to the Soviet war machine, but it's not as devastating as it could have otherwise been. Orange Pest, though, deciding that he desperately needs to get more AT onto his army, is building a second Raketenwerfer, and the Sturmpio squad is also just built up some medical supplies. And so, for right now, that 30 munitions isn't so expensive. Probably a good idea, in fact. But it might behoove Orange Pest to maybe call in that last half-track. He certainly could use the medics. Now, Kpen, on the other hand, he does have his medics up. The field medics are back at home healing the troops and raising their morale, but only for the seriously wounded ones, of course. And frankly, he's in good shape here. Oh no, another squad of Volksgrenadiers. Let's get close right here, guys. Feed us in. There's another one. So Orange Pest, unfortunately, losing out to a couple very well placed explosive munitions there. Sherman's still not sliding forward. He seems cautious, and in the face of I was gonna say in the face of Panzerschreck, that's definitely worthwhile, but this Panzerschreck has just gotten taken out, buried under rubble. And while Orange Pest, it was all Orange Pest in the beginning, it seems that Kpen is starting to really get himself ramped up and going 187 to 390 after going down almost 200 tickets, actually more than that. He is now doing some serious work here. Now let's see if we're going to get this Dushka to actually turn around and start getting some rounds into this P2. He has managed to get the Panzer Fusiliers by proxy in terms of pinning. And there we go, so armor-piercing rounds will be coming out, but still just kind of tickling the P2. Doing teeny tiny bits of damage, but still not quite enough to really be happy about it. Sherman sits over here to the eastern side. I'm not sure if he's waiting to have more troops coming on, or what the deal is. But he's there, he's listening. And a set of rounds coming in real short, and those short rounds are still not enough to take out the Soviet squads, which are just kind of chilling there. And oh my gosh, we're going to see a dive. Sherman comes in, he's going to try to put some rounds into Stukasafus, and he might be able to take it out. If he does that, yep, there's one right there. I would be happy to lose my Sherman at this point. One of my Shermans anyway. I can call another one in pretty darn soon, another minute. And P2 is going to come across his crosshairs. Oh, jeez, that would have been close. So very, very brave and honestly pretty good dive coming out of Kpen. And while the Germans have seized another point back as 2-1 cap still in favor of the Soviets. Continue to retreat, my friend. Continue to retreat. But no, I think he might even go down here. So this brave, bold tank dies in a hail of gunfire. So, in the meantime, these planes actually might go down. Shockingly enough, doesn't seem like he's going to do so, though. Wow, that is really, really surprising. And a ton more fuel is coming out, which means there's going to be another Sherman on the way pretty darn soon. And Orange Pest has decided he's had enough as well. He's bringing in himself a Panther, which would be enough to handle one Sherman, but not two. So it's going to be a question who can handle their soft AT and their anti-tank guns more effectively. And for the time being, looks like there's going to be some mines going down to favor the Soviet position, and that's probably a good idea. And here comes another Sherman. Yep, there we go. And it's just going to be a waiting game, I imagine, for both sides here. Both players trying very, very hard to lure their opponent into poor engagements. Kpen's had a little bit more luck with it, mostly just because he's been able to, I'll say, encourage his opponent to run over explosive munitions, so those detonations are very, very devastating. But either way, I mean, this has been a pretty fantastic game. It's definitely seesawed back and forth quite a bit. Now, that P2 is kind of hiding back over here, and this poor guy, oh my gosh, he comes out right into the crosshairs, and the Sherman is going to be able, I think, yep, between the AT grenade and otherwise, to take him out. So the conscript squad gets credited with the kill, brings him up to 3 stars of veterancy, and actually brings him completely up. Panther, in the meantime, announces his presence and doesn't get any kind of kill for it, though, either. That's unfortunate right there. Where's this gun? Oh, okay, he's over here to the east, just behind one of the Shermans. So, if I am Kpen, do I throw my tanks madly to find and take out this Panther? Kind of a tough call. Mostly because of a Kettenwerfers could make very, very short work of my tank force, and I really want to throw away 200 plus fuel. Unless it's absolutely necessary. Now, it could be very, very fun to see if this Panther ends up walking over this mine, or rolling over this mine. That could be the death knell for this fine piece of German war machine. And since the
enemy is encroaching on our territory.
Since the OKW has no Sturmpyos, they have repair pioneers, of course. They don't have Sturmpyos. Oh no, he's so close. He is so close. There goes that damaged engine. Oh my gosh, this could be the time to attack. The Shermans sense that blood is in the water. They hear the mine has gone off. They've seen it gone off. But no, instead it's going to be Panzerfaust galore, damaging the engine over here to the west, really forcing back one Sherman. The other one is just kind of hanging back just in case. And this gun drops 2 rounds onto this OKW Volksgren squad. Doesn't quite manage to take him out, though, leaving them just enough time to back away. But this Dushka, in the meantime, the Dushkas that have survived anyway are still going to be doing some fair work here. Grenade, in the meantime, ouch, does pretty good work, and I don't know if that's going to be a dead squad or not. Nope, he's going to make it away. I can never recall sometimes who gets that whole benefit of the single model survival skills or not. Soviets, in the meantime, have bunkered up on this eastern house, and if these Germans go any closer, they will be put under fire by the machine gun, but for the time being, they seem to have things well under hand. And my guess, we'll see a 3rd Sherman. Yes, there we go. Coming out. And I'm wondering, are we seeing more mines getting placed down? Yes, another mine a little bit further south onto this road, just in case the Germans manage to penetrate. And it is definitely dire for the Germans. Sturmpires are out, as are the repair pioneers, so that tank will come back into full efficiency, let's call it. But he's going to come back into a world of hurt. Germans, in the meantime, trying to go and take this point just before it gets recapped, though, by the Germans. The conscripts move in, and folks, that is going to be a very, very hard cheese to swallow. Not having this Panzerfaust opportunities is a devastating, devastating kind of loss. Germans, in the meantime, though, should have more than enough opportunity to slide up here and throw down against this Panther. And AT grenades have come out against this tank, but have not been managed to hurt it. Which is a little bit unfortunate for them. 2 Shermans do slide up, one going up backwards, apparently having a little bit confused about which side goes towards the enemy. And that mine is still in place. The Germans did not quite find that. Now definitely is the opportunity, I would think, for Kpen to really be rushing forwards. He knows that his opponent's gone for that breakthrough doctrine, which means that he has to wait for that late game. Jagdpanzer, excuse me, Jagdtiga. But in and of itself, if his opponent had the fuel for it, he would have built something else to support this poor Panther than he has already. Meantime, though, Wilson's Panther Fusiliers might be able to decap the center position, but they're probably going to take some pretty harsh losses to do so. Half decapped, that's 187 to 212. They lose half their squad managing to do that. And the Panther that so quickly before had been clean and shiny and sparkly is now back in base again. Dushka is going to set himself up. No, he's not. Thought he was going to. That would have been a good idea. Instead, it's going to be the Shermans just sitting here just dropping rounds onto Panther Fusiliers. Oh, and a very, very preemptive grenade goes off, but doesn't really do anything. Humorously enough, the Germans thought they were going to get a good, solid hit onto the Dushka. That was not to be, though. Now, Kpen needs to be concerned about one thing, and that's letting this game go into super, super late game. As of right now, you do see a lot of the Volksground squad that survived, and even one Panther Fusiliers is quite good in terms of veterancy. And that's not what you want to see. If what's more so, the longer this game goes on, the more likely we will see things like that Jagdtiger, and that Jagdtiger has tons of armor, and while it can be flanked with the support of things like these Raketenwerfers, it could be enough to secure the German to W. It'll be close, but it could be enough. Rifle grenade comes out, kapoof, that's going to do a lot of damage. That squad's got to get out of there now. Oh, and he retreats just before he manages to cap out the point, and he loses the squad anyway, and that's really, really unfortunate to see. But it doesn't look like those Panther Fusiliers are going to be able to really take advantage of their moderate victory there. Even more so, if the Soviets lose another squad, they can call in a fourth of a Sherman, and that would be very, very difficult to face. Oh my gosh, is this gun not even going to do anything about this? Oh my gosh. He's throwing rounds into the Panthers, so no, it is going to be a German-held middle, but it was a 2-1 very, very briefly for the Russian player. 32 minutes in, 179 to 194. This is seesawing back and forth more than a bunch of kindergartners on the playground. And unfortunately, these conscripts are not going to be able to stop Panther Fusiliers from chucking a grenade over here onto this poor Dushka, sending him packing as well. To the west, this M4 Sherman is going to throw rounds. One more round might be enough to really damage the squad, but I don't think he's going to kill it. No, he won't. It's going to be a German-held 2-1 VP advantage. Yikes, but the Panther just keeps coming right back into the fray and just keeps taking way, way, way more hits than he needs to. And even though we have the Panther Fusiliers around here to the side, definitely could probably throw out a rifle grenade should he want to. It will not be enough to dissuade the Russians. So once again, we are back to an even, steady capping situation here. There is one Raketenwerfer over here to the west dissuading the Sherman from diving deep. Another one in the center part of the map. And this Panther is just getting real amounts of work. Diving in, diving out, diving in, diving out. Germans in the meantime just trying to go and do these frustration caps. One Dushka down here to the one over here to the eastern side has found itself outflanked and might see him retreat. Yep, there he goes. Good play right there by the Germans to encourage the Dushka to modify its position. And now we're back again to the Germans probably controlling at least 2, if not 3 of these points. And if they control all 3, I can't imagine how Kpen will let that happen. Panther is continuing to come in to take pot shots, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think, to really secure their victory. Over here in the west, we'll see these conscripts will be able to decap the point away from the Germans, but not recap it for the good of the motherland. And indeed, over to the east, we will see another Dushka coming over here to take back what is the Rodinas. As this gun throws out a couple of rounds, but it's not going to be enough to do any kind of significant damage. And oh dear God, Orange Pest is going for his second Panther. If this Panther makes it out onto the field, that might be curtains for Kpen. His Shermans could have been good doing this whole like gangbang of one Panther, but 2 Panthers, it's a little bit harder to do. Especially all things considered. Can he actually even see him? He can see him. That is an unfortunate Sherman right there. And the Raketwerfers have him enfilade, and won't be able to see him off. Other Sherman says, hey, wait a second, why are you shooting at my buddy? And between Panzerfausts and Raketwerfers, we're probably going to see a dead Sherman here. On the plus side, he is not the most vetted up one, nor is he one that has a machine gun on him. So, if he dies, or rather perhaps more when he dies, this Panther really should be able to take him out. Being undestroyed. Oh, never mind, he gets a new lease on life. Never mind, folks. Dushka doing something silly here. You're not going to get a firing arc on the approaching infantry. Oh, that's hard. That's hard to watch. And another big boom comes out here, taking up more health. Not killing him, but you know what? That's still really, really devastating. But Kpen has managed to seize back 2 points, and here comes that second Panther. Gonna announce himself rather significantly, given half the chance. Never mind, though. He says, you know what? It's not time for my coming out party, and he retreats, leaving the tickets to continue to dwindle in favor of Kpen over Orange Pest. 152 to 177. We could finally see a Soviet advantage in tickets, given half a chance. Conscripts will chase back the Kettenwerfers, and will do a decent job, I would say, against these Panzer Fusiliers until they get flanked. And that's really the question. Can a flank be more effective than outnumbering your opponent? Initial responses say no. Germans will continue to press their case, though, in the middle part of the map, while the Soviets try to push over here to the west. And will this be a tease on top of a mine? No, it won't. And indeed, this Panther seems like he's got everything under control here. Kind of guessing what the Soviets are throwing down. Another Sherman peeks out, throws a couple rounds into this Panther, and backs away again. So we continue to see this kind of cat and mouse game being played out like crazy. And I would love to see, like I said, a legit just kind of press on either side here. Soviets are taking devastating losses to do so, but Kpen at this point can really just trade manpower for time. It won't be easy, mind you, but it's still going to be enough, I think, to secure him the win. He's just pushing both sides of the map rather consistently. AT grenade, maybe? AT grenade coming out on that first Panther. Damaged engine. He could go down, folks. Here's one Sherman diving in. And rear armor hits, he's going to take that bad boy out. And if he does, then the Germans will just pack it in. He's not going to be able to take back everything he needs here. Okay, wait. One tank goes down, but it's not a German tank. Never mind. There goes an AT grenade. There goes the German tank. And now Shermans do have lines on number 2. Number 2 is sliding away, though, as well. And the replacement Sherman comes right back off the Lend-Lease from the Americans. Definitely getting them some good, solid usage here. 150 to 153, though. Question really is, will... Actually, I don't even know. I don't even know. Oh my gosh, the Panther's coming for a death or glory charge, folks. Here it comes. He's going to run across this mine, too, as well. I almost... Oh, no, never mind, folks. No, there he goes. Never mind. I was wrong yet again. AT grenade comes out, and that little thing tickles him enough that the Sherman should be able to get in and around him. Doesn't even need to do so. Throws the round in his face. Shermans come up from the east side. And Orange Pest throws in the towel, losing his tank force. So after 38 minutes and 38 seconds, after being down such a ton, Kpen hasn't even won the tickets by the end of the game, and yet he pulls out the W. So well played to him. Well played to Orange Pest. And folks, thank you so much for joining me on this Winter Balance patch preview. This is 1.3. If you're looking for the patch notes, I will try to remember to put a link to them in the description below this video. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all next time. This is Conor Work signing off. Take it easy.